Then like Steve McQueen, I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. What do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, you guys. And I do that because I want to put the right information out there from the people who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve, so you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business, in your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. I do have a guest who I'm going to pull up here. He's a repeat guest, and we're going to talk about freight sales today, you guys. We're going to talk about selling in any market that we're in. And honestly, you guys, just bring the realities of what it takes to build a sustainable book of business. It's not the smoke and mirrors out there of just cold call the shipper and you get freight and all of a sudden you're a fucking millionaire. There's some strategy behind it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And this guy knows this game better than pretty much anybody I've ever spoken to. And we're going to bring that up there. But before we dive in any further, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHUB, VHUBapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers, and you get paid to move these things. That's right. If you're a small fleet owner op, you never have to shut your operation down if you have a trailer in the shop, because you can jump on VHUB and move these for a fee. You get paid to do this, and that's on top of the revenues you can get by loading these trailers out. So what they got: Staunton, Wisconsin, going over to Milton, Ontario, and you get $350 US per trailer on that. They also have Chattanooga, Tennessee, going to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, or excuse me, Clinton, Oklahoma, my bad. And that's $600 US to do that. They got a bunch of trailers out there in San Diego right now. You guys going to multiple locations throughout the US. They pay anywhere from $1,100 to $2,200 per trailer. They literally go out to Florida, Maryland, New York, Texas, Virginia, Mass, North Carolina, Georgia, you name it, you guys. And then with this, you can create a drop trailer pool. If you've got a SoCal shipper out there that requires drop trailer, or you're prospecting them and they're like, hey, you need to do this, you can do this with VHUB, you guys. And then finally, they have Paragould, Arkansas, going up to Mississauga, Ontario, and you get $736 US to do that, you guys. So hit them up, vhubapp.com. My friends Zach Lonergan and Stacy Steen, they will be in the audience. Just do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Let me see here. Adolfo Rodriguez, aquí estamos. Here we are. Good morning, sir. Flo, good morning. Javier, what is up? Good morning. Drink water and take care. Amen to that. And Cole Mickey, like, what is up, sir? And now also one more quick thing, you guys. YouTube is been brought to my attention by numerous people. That is the better streaming site to watch on. So if you want better video and audio, jump over to YouTube, search for the Freight Coach, and jump up on there. All right, I'm gonna bring him on. Repeat guest, the man, the myth, Chris Brewer. What's up, dude? Nice hat, by the way.
Gotta rock the host. I mean, it is a good looking hat though. I mean, the branded bills that their line, they make some really top notch stuff. We've got our River City hats that one needs to go in the mail to you, branded bills. I got the gray one put aside for you, boss.
Dude, I love it. I can't wait, man. Branded bills is legit. I've been to their factory over here in Mesa, and man, they got some quality stuff over there. I got hats, polos, sweatshirts, 3/4 zips, everything directly from them, man. They're super high quality. I enjoy it.
Super easy to work with too. Made it so easy.
Their design team, like, I mean, because like I'm an idiot when it comes to a lot of this stuff, and I'm just like, here, this is what I want, and they're like, here's 75 different designs, and it's just like boom. And then, you know, again, they're an American company, so it's like I got the, you know, the flag on this hat, and then on my shirts and stuff on the sleeve and everything, and I love it. It was super seamless, and it was very, very price effective as well too. Like, you're not going to break the bank going through them either.
No, and their customer support team was awesome. I think our first order was like 65 units. And I mean, I think I have like 2 hats left. We just dish them out to vendors and clients, and my drivers are begging me for more. So we'll have to get another order into them. How you doing, man? How's life?
Dude, I'm doing well. Life's good. It's I'm out here seeing a lot of, like just the reality of this market that we're in, right? And to me, it's very standard. But the opportunities are truly endless right now, right? Like we're onboarding customers, we're having meaningful conversations with people, right? Like I can't think of one interaction where they're just like, never call us ever again. It's just more kind of like, hey, not right now, but if you stay in contact with us, you never know.
I'm feeling the same things. We're still growing out our sales team here. I think we're up to 9 or 10
Love it.
salespeople, and then about 32 ops people on the back end that strictly do carrier operations. Well,
Yeah.
we're doing it in the process of building our outside sales team. So fortunate enough to have some really good people on the executive staff here at River City. That's allowed me to go back out into the field and really kind of be in my natural element, right? I mean, I'm not designed to be sitting in a corner office reviewing contracts. That's not my nature. I like interacting with my clients, providing real solutions in real time and in the future. But we were talking about this, over text the last week. This is the true reality of what a normal freight market looks like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those of us who have been doing this a decade plus, like you and I, obviously, was the last 3 years great? It was incredible. But if you weren't constantly prospecting and putting yourself in good position to ride the wave as it's coming down, then you could have found yourself in trouble. If you're on LinkedIn, which I know you are, but for the viewers, it's not as doom and gloom as everybody says. I mean, I've got a guy who's got less than a year of experience. He just onboarded 2 customers this week for profit. So they're taking our calls. It's just, Can you deliver, right? I mean, I like to say we deliver every time over here, and I know you guys are doing that at your shop, Chris. But having great salespeople is important, but having a really strong understanding of what your business is about from the carrier ops side is equally as important.
Yeah, dude. And I put a post out here last week about it, how like to me selling's easy, right? Like it to me, it's the easy part because it's just like, hey, this is what we're good at. This is what we do. But the real work always starts when they're like, all right, I'm not going to call your bluff, but like, I'm calling your number here. Let's go. Let's pick this load up. Let's get it delivered. To me, that's when the real work always starts, right? Because that's when operations needs to come in. Because I'm a firm believer, man. Like if you don't have quality operations, you're fucked. Because you can have 1,000 loads on the board, but if you don't have anybody to effectively move it, you're fucked, right? So for me, it's like we've been taking this and we've been building this up, man. Like we've been onboarding customers. We've been moving, like we just moved new loads for new customers here over the last couple of days, right? And it's been like, all right, boom. And it's that build-up approach to it because I want to continue to stand out from a service aspect of it. I want them to be like, motherfucker, are these guys do they really send this many updates? Is this normal, or is this like hey, it's a new one, and then once we get in the door, we'll stop? Because like my mentality is the first load, they're going to think that by load 5, they're going to be like, fuck, this is probably not a fluke. By load 10, they don't even remember who they used to work with, because it's like, I want to bring a level of attention to them that they've never experienced. And that starts from like the very first outreach, whether it's a cold email or a cold call. I want them to be able to be like, well, shit, at least they did their research on us.
Yep. We have a philosophy, do what you say you're going to do every time. Yeah. Right. From the very first interaction of the sales process, whether it's, hey, I'm going to follow up with you next week, or hey, I'm going to send you some cool stuff that I found, some good reading materials. My sales approach is probably a little similar to yours. Like, I know my clients' kids' names. I know where they go to high school, or when they graduate. And you don't have to get that granular with everyone. You're probably not going to get that granular with everybody, but the act of building true, deep relationships where we actually care about the freight that we move because we care about the people that give us the freight, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, this is good information for maybe some of the new people in the industry. People that tender us freight are putting the fate of their job in our hands. Yeah. Think about that for a second, right? Yeah. Think about that. They're putting their reputation, their employment status, their way of life, their means of bringing in an income. And so when you really think about that, I'm trying to go super deep, Patrick Bet David here, but I look at it that way. I look at it as if you are now trusting me with your livelihood. And I always say this, give me an opportunity and I won't let you down. All you got to do is say yes. And I'm not going to fail.
Yeah, it is, man. It's, because I've had plenty of shippers on this show. Tony Darnell says amen, saying happy Thursday out there as well. Vitaly saying we're taking certain calls. And, the shippers that I've had on my show they echo that, right? They echo that sentiment. And I because it's like, it's overblown on how people should get in the door with somebody. And really it is just about like just stopping the bullshit, right? Stopping the smoke and mirrors, because like at the end of the day, yeah, tech's cool, but I've never had one cold call or one interaction with the shipper where they're like, what's your tech stack look like? That hasn't happened, right? It's more like, do you know what you're talking about, right? Like, are you actually here to add value inside of this interaction? Because you're right, man, that is their job. That is their livelihood. It is a massive risk for them to set up a new provider and continue to work with a provider that isn't bringing it every fucking time, right? Because it's like, and that's another thing too, is people think like, oh, when I get business, everything's going to be all right. No, motherfuckers, that's when the real work begins every single time. Because and it's like, and especially right now, if you're working with the shipper and you think like, you know what, I can maybe take this play off, or if you're not bringing that same intensity every time, there are guys like you who are in their ears right now. There are people, who do you think, like, do you think I just sit here all day and fucking wait to go live? Like, I'm reaching out to shippers every fucking day. I am in your shippers' ears right now. And if you think I'm going to not take a load, or I'm going to not lose money on a load to service that account, you got another thing coming, you guys. Like, again, and this is, I got this line from Chris here. You guys, this isn't a fucking game to me. This isn't a game.
It's livelihood, man. It's survival of the fittest. It's, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to put food on my children's plate every night. And you said it earlier, I those of your followers who follow me, I specifically put a post out earlier in the week that said, if you're not taking care of your customers right now, I would be very, very concerned about your book, because we are getting a lot of good responses from even larger, definitely in the mid-size range, but even the larger size shippers. And they're reiterating the same thing of, well, my rep's getting changed on me, and with layoffs and this and that. And I'm like, we're only an operation of 50 people in house and then a fleet of trucks on the road, but we are so damn effective and we do so much more with so much less staff. We don't have turnover. My people don't leave. We pay them well. They have a great work environment. Their benefits are fantastic. And they see me out on the floor grinding with them, or out in the field grinding with them. And then that just kind of rubs off on all of them. Like, I've had people say, I've never even understood this side of freight until I left the fleet that I was working with and came to work for you, or with me, right? I don't say people work for me, they work with me. But if we're cultivating a culture and breeding a bunch of killers like you and I, that's great for our business, and that's bad for everyone else.
Yeah, I just think, like, because dude, I sent you that text on Sunday. I saw somebody post out there on social media about how, why doesn't my customer understand that I shouldn't have to lose money on these loads and they should wait to ship this stuff out? And I look at it like this: there's not one person who is complaining when they make money on a shipment, right? Like, nobody complains if they make $500 on a load, or $1,000 on a load, or whatever that looks like. And if you misquoted something, that's not your customer's fault. All right. At the end of the day, because again, you didn't complain when you were making $500 a load. And, and what does that even look like? Is it like, or were you not making, because like there wasn't a lot of context of the post, but it was just more of the sentiment, right? Where they might not, because I know I've heard people say like, oh, if I'm not making X on a shipment, it's not worth my time. And I'm like, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody how to run your business. You do you at the end of the day. but I'm going to fucking move the loads. I'm going to move it because to me in my organization, it doesn't matter if we're making $50 on a load or $5,000 on a load. They're going to get the exact same level of detail. They're going to get the exact same communication because it doesn't matter what the market is. It doesn't matter what the load is. Everything's the same with us. And it's going to bring that to that every single time because again, it's just like, and furthermore, if you're in that position right now where you're like, fuck, I did that recently. The beauty of it is you can change this second and be like, all right, I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to honor my commitments and I'm going to do this. We're not sitting up here saying like, oh, we're coming to fucking eat your lunch. We will if you continue. But if you're falling into some of these behaviors, your guys, and some of these traps, like you can change right now and your conversations with your customers are going to be completely different.
They're going to be much different. When you talk about honoring pricing, right? It's a tough pill to swallow, but I have this firm belief that your customers respect and appreciate you when things are most difficult, right?
Yep.
And when you're honest and you're telling them the truth, like, you know what, I quoted this thing so poorly, but here's the deal. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to cover the load and we're going to move on. Or you could be in a position where I was last week, contracted freight cross country. We've got drop trailers there. It's a dual customer. We broker a ton of freight. We use a lot of our fleet capacity. Fleet truck couldn't make it to pick up. We had one of our trucks or one of our trailers preloaded. We lost $1,300 on one load. But you know what? You do that at all costs for the guys that keep the lights on and the guys that help you pay your people's salary. Did that hurt? Of course it hurt. But you know what hurts worse? Losing a top 10 account.
Yeah.
And I'll do that for everyone. I don't care if you're the last account on the list or the first account on the list. In business, we've worked for the big boys, right? We've worked for the three-letter giants. When it's your brand and your image and your reputation on the line, there's a different level of attention to it.
Yeah.
And my brand and my personal reputation are the most important thing that I have, right along with my word. And my word, goes hand in hand with that brand.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. It's a different level at this point, and I think that, and all of it, comes in the messaging and how you pay like how are you reaching out to somebody? Are you sending that basic generic outreach or are, because again, I think like in today's day and age, it's like you could argue cold calling is the most effective, cold emailing is the most effective, DM, whatever. You could make a legitimate argument for all because it really does depend on the decision maker and that how do they prefer to communicate at the end of the day. But it's like, are you taking the time to actually go after somebody effectively? Right? Are you just throwing a fucking wide net saying that you'll do everything for them? Because again, I think like there's nothing more off-putting to a customer than you offering refrigerated freight services to a fucking, flatbed, and however else you want to spin it. I think like, how do you stand out in a crowd? That's probably one of the biggest DMs that I get is how do I land a shipper? How do I stand out? And I always tell them, the easiest way is to go to their website and tailor your outreach to what they do. What do you see on their website? Chris and I were talking earlier before we started recording. Google to this day is still the most effective lead generation software that either of us have ever used. Now, granted, I utilize lead gen software. It's great. But I still utilize Google as the best way to get into certain things. And because I want to go to their website, I want to see, hey, do they open up a new plant somewhere? Do they have a new product line? Do they have big company news? Did they celebrate 50 years in business or something like that? And I want to talk about that in particular, right? And it's going to be very much tailored individually to that specific shipper. Now, if you're going after a commodity at scale, say you're going after produce shippers, you could get away with using a template-ish, but you got to update some keywords, right? You can't just say we can do everything for you in stuff. Like I feel like, and then and then I want to say this, and then I'll let you run with it, Chris. Does that guarantee you're going to get business? Absolutely not, because the first outreach, you're still just another person. You're still, like they might have glanced at your email and then fucking they had 7, loads dropped on there. Like, and it's not personal, right? So it's like, you got to follow up from that.
It's never personal, right? I'll talk about the personal, and I saw a really good post this morning about angry emails. I couldn't remember who posted it, but it gave me a lot of good insight. To go back to what you said earlier, what are we doing that's making us different? I think number one, getting out in person right now is a far better approach than cold email, cold call. I've been out in the field quite a bit lately. I feel very at home there. Actually getting to sit down and talk to people, even if it's just for a few brief moments, that's been the best approach. But when it comes to cold call, cold email, what I found a lot of success in, and I'm pass this down to my sales team, is if you're not going to their website and looking at the About Us page, and if you don't click that core values or what we believe in, you don't have a chance against guys like us, because we're going to go there. We're going to resonate with what this company believes in. And most times those values are going to align with the values that we have at both of our organizations. Right. And so you can start to touch on that. And it has everything to do with being genuine and real. It has nothing to do with trying to get a sale, because I'm not in the business of selling. I'm in the business of building relationships. Secondly, we're talking about cold email and the follow-up process, right? If you're getting frustrated because somebody's not responding to you, you've got to switch it up. You've got to change it up. You got to get cute. You got to get creative. I think we talked about this the first time I was on the show back in like 2020, 2021, maybe, or 20. I might have been 21.
Yeah.
One of the greatest lines of all time, I mean of all time, was from our good friend Lucas DeLong. He said he called this guy every single day at Smart and Final in Southern California for like 14 months. And the guy finally answers the phone and he goes, man, I was getting real worried that I was going to eat my cereal in the morning and find your picture on the back of a milk carton. I just had to make sure you were live. That guy laughed so hard. And our whole team was sitting there laughing. We were all cheering because he finally got him on the horn. Now, I didn't land business, but just breaking up the monotony and the mundane chore of follow-up can be difficult. I thought that was a super funny story. I know that was a lot of information to take in, but I'll kick it back to you.
No, absolutely. And Alex Murphy brings up, he says, hearing about all the success you've been, how do you pushing through the roadblocks when pursuing a new customer? I think that for me personally, Alex, it's accepting the fact that it's not going to happen on my time, right? Like, I fucking want instant results, just like every single one of you guys who are listening to this show right now. I want instant sales results. I want somebody just to onboard me right away. And that's not the case, right? Because if they are good with their current network, for example, because that's a good, that's a very common response. Like, hey, we're good. We've been working with the same people forever. One of my biggest things that I want to ask in their moment is, what are they doing so well that separates them from taking anybody else's call, or because at the end of the day, I'm always looking to improve. And if they're doing something I'm not, I want to know, right? And that's what I always want to direct that one towards. And, for me personally, it's about always looking at the fact, because like one of my things inside of my company is I don't need to be right. We just need to win. And if there's another way of doing things out there, I want to be aware of it. And I want to know, what can we do differently to bring another level of service to all of these people that we're hoping to get in with? Because again, like it's a lot, it's a big risk to work with somebody, right? And then on top of that, when they're paying you money, you can't take that shit lightly.
You can't take it lightly. I like what you said there. And I'm going to kind of go back and answer that question for myself.
Yeah.
We talked about this right before the show. We talked about it quite a bit within the last few weeks of like, what is the reason, or what are some of the tips behind success? I think understanding your business model, whether you're an owner operator, whether you're whether you work for yourself and you're a one-person band, or you got a small group, or you work for a large company, understand the business model. Chris Brewer and River City Logistics are not going to go call every single steel manufacturer in the country and say that we can promise you 1,000 flatbeds a month. Not going to happen. Chris Brewer and River City Logistics are going to move three things very well: expedited mail, food and beverage, packaging materials. That's kind of like where we like to live. And then second to that is we're in the process now, and this is where I think this is how businesses scale really fast in the 3 to 5 year mark, which is kind of where we're at. We're in the process of now consultative selling on a reverse platform, right? So if we know we've got 15 trucks delivering into Chicago from Dallas, I've got all my people canvassing Chicago trying to find the load back, right? And then now we're double dipping. We're making a little bit of margin there. We're making a little bit of margin back. Now we've closed that loop. We might have solved the shipper's problem, and then that opens the doors to moving other lanes and other markets for that same shipper.
Yeah, and that's exactly what our outreach continues to develop into, right? Because I'm always about reutilizing the exact same drivers time and time again. I want to work with the same trucking companies, shout out broker carrier guys, hit them up, capacity management, load notifications, keep those people working for you without having to source anywhere. And for me, it's about, all right, cool. So we have, arbitrary example, like you're talking about, Chicago to Dallas, and then I got trucks landing in Dallas. I'm going to be out there scouring and prospecting shippers who ship back up into the Chicago market. I'm being very specific about why I'm reaching out, right? Like, because I don't want to go everywhere. At the end of the day, I don't want every commodity out there. I have my core competencies that we utilize: pipe, precast concrete, construction equipment, variation of building materials and stuff that you'll see out there. And that's our core competency, right? Because I'm not going after everyone for the sake of going after them. And, for me, it's building out on a lane by lane basis and a region by region basis. And, we're in the Southwest here. Like, that's my core area, right? Like, pretty much Phoenix, LA, up to Reno and our old stomping grounds, Salt Lake, Denver, Albuquerque, El Paso. Like, I'm fucking really encompassing that region. And then I'm splintering out from there, because I'm not just calling people for the sake of calling them or just reaching out to people because it's like, oh, shiny object syndrome. I think you're selling against yourself at that point.
Yeah. When you have a very direct approach, and I've heard some good feedback from current clients and prospective clients that we're still kind of going through the discovery processes, the feedback that I've been given is, I love the approach. You were very direct. You didn't promise to cover all my freight. Like, here's the deal. I'm not going to cover all your freight because, number one, that's not a good business model for you. But number two, there's people that service markets better than I can service them, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about what are we looking to gain from both parties, right? From a carrier's perspective, from the shipper's perspective, it's how do we solve a problem? You can't, shipper A can't cover freight from Chicago to Dallas. I've got 15 trucks a week inbound to Joliet. I will take every single one of those at a very, very strong, aggressive pricing. Where I'm not going to lose is the service. That's where nobody will beat me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Christina Shaw, it's VHUBapp.com is where you need to go to hit him up. Zach Lonergan's in the audience right here. If you want to DM him and connect with him, he can definitely help you out with that. Dude, we're already at time. And dude, these just go by so quick, but it's like, again, you guys, for no matter what, Chris is out there in the field building River City Logistics. They got trucks as well. They're a brokerage and an asset company. You guys got what, 20 some trucks on the road now?
Yeah, give or take, and another 8 on the way or something like that next month.
So he's in it, right? You guys, like, this isn't a just somebody who's got an opinion on it. He's building his company with his business partners and his team out there, and same thing, because he's, what are you, year 5, year 4 in business?
November will be year 4. Yeah. Year 5.
So you're at that mark right there. I'm in like the beginning stages of being out on my own and building mine. We're 6 months in, you guys. So it's like, we're bringing this information from two individuals who've been in the industry for a very long time. We've both been in it for a decade plus, for other organizations, but we're out here building our companies, right? Like, the feedback that we're delivering to you are firsthand phone calls that I'm having with my prospects, that Chris is having with his prospects and his customers, you guys. So, like, again, this isn't Chris, who's the CEO, who's been disconnected from the day-to-day for 20 years. Like, he's still out there actively selling, you guys. So this feedback that we're talking about, these best practices that we're bringing to the table, are from what we are actually doing inside of our organizations. So, Chris, are you hiring drivers, employees, whatever? Throw that all out there, man, as always.
Oh, we're always hiring, man. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? We're hiring CDL drivers in Kansas City, Chicago, Reno, Nevada, Central and Eastern Iowa. We are in the process of really building out our outside sales team. So we've got the first two out on the road, hitting the pavement, really trying to prove that concept. And then we'll be expanding out into Southern California, Seattle, Dallas, Atlanta, and the Northeast. New Jersey, probably most likely. We're always growing, man. We're trying to do the right thing, do it the right way. But what I love about you, Chris, unconditionally, and I'm on board with you, is I love coming on the show because I want to make our industry better. I want to make more people think like us and understand the nuances and what's great and what's bad about freight. And at the end of the day, if we can have more logistics professionals, we are professionals. We're not just freight brokers. We're supply chain solution professionals. If there's more of us out there, our industry will be better as a whole. So salute to you for carrying out that mission, man.
I appreciate that, brother. And at the end of the day, you guys, like, this industry is absolutely gigantically massive. And, for if you're to put things into context, like let's pull some numbers, $900 billion industry, whatever you want to say, 200 billion of that is domestic US freight brokerage in itself. And if you add up the top 100 freight brokers, you guys, they account for about 50% of the market share, So think about that. Like, there is so much opportunity out there at the end of the day, you guys, and best practices are going to win, and for me, it's if one person listens to this show today and they see a difference in their business because they take a nugget that Chris dropped out there, that's what it's all about, you guys. There's enough freight for us all to fucking win on, and for us all to make a difference in our local communities or your families and everything else. So that's what it's all about. But that's going to be it for today, you guys. Tomorrow is Q&A show every single Friday, you guys. Transportation sales and operations Q&A. You can drop your questions in the live stream if you want, or DM them over to me and I'll answer them live on the show. But that's going to be it. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon. And now we're